It's like a transition to like the way he makes it seem like it's so joyful and like funny, and then he brings it down like to a whole new level. Just like, oh wow, that's just terrible. Oh why?
Yeah.
And he's just like, you're just like saying like, no, please God, don't let it happen, and it happens. You just, whew.
Yeah, it hits your heart sometimes.
Yeah, but guys, wonderful at writing. I love it. And then my last one up, it's just kind of obvious because I've been reading Iron Man recently, but
Just
Matt
recently?
Fraction. I'm gonna say recently because I want to retcon the past.
No, we won't let you.
I will. But Matt Fraction is one of my favorite writers too. It's only because of the Iron Man run so far.
I haven't read, his Iron Fist or anything else.
Or his
No.
Uncanny X-Men.
Yeah, just
Or his
like Iron Man.
Casanova.
Oh my goodness.
None of that. Matt Fraction.
He writes something else?
Other comics exist.
But the way he writes Iron Man defines Iron Man for me. The way he delves into Tony's character is really, really interesting. And it has a lot of levels of saying about Tony's dealing with his personal issues as well as social issues, how he copes with himself and others, and how others cope with him too. And what he's doing in the current arc so far, and even though there's no action whatsoever, it's just developing on Tony's character and his relationships with everybody, and I really, really like that.
I think he's a very capable writer. Him and Brubaker came around at the same time, I think.
Yeah.
They collaborated a few times.
Yeah,
with
with
Iron
stuff like
Fist,
that.
and he's been doing X-Men.
Uncanny X-Men, definitely. That's one series where he had a slow start, but he's found his niche, especially writing Cyclops. I think he's really put Cyclops
Is awesome,
into the spot he's meant to be as a leader, and he's just developed really well into Uncanny X-Men, definitely.
And his Casanova stuff is what kind of put him on the board, didn't it?
Yeah, that's just indie.
Yeah, it's been being reprinted right now in case you guys wanted to check it out in singles. Alright, let's go into artists. Start this side now.
Awesome. Guess what? It's Iron Man again, guys.
Salvador LaRocca.
Yeah.
And Adi Granov. And am I naming your list?
No.
Okay.
Just one. Salvador LaRocca. I mean, he had a rough
Way to
start.
blow our
Very,
expectations.
My mind
Unlimited,
is still
folks.
afloat.
but his beginning run on Iron Man was just iffy. But then as he progressed, the artwork got much better.
Especially when Sawyer was in it.
Yeah, I can't.
Not just recently.
No, see, that bothered me. So
Fire Talk Shadow.
every time I turn that page, and I'm like, oh, it's Sawyer, and like, they make the definitive best Iron Man in real life.
He's appealing to
Robert
Lost fans.
Downey Jr. And like I saw somebody post online, like, Tony Stark would just when he knew that at some point another universe was going to make a movie about him, he's like, I'll just clone myself and put him in that universe. That's Robert Downey Jr. Like, that's just like, if you're going to draw if you draw someone in real life to look like Tony Stark in the comic, just do the guy who does it best. Like, why? Like, he's like, I don't want to get in trouble for it. Like, what? He doesn't want to feel like people knock him for it. But I actually knock him for just doing Sawyer. I'm like, because it is like, I can just pause episodes of Lost. Like, oh look, oh wait, no, I keep mixing them up. Like, it's just
I will say
Bring
though,
Lost, no, it's Iron Man.
he's one artist I followed from when he was a fill-in artist in X-Men.
Yeah.
I followed him from there, and actually, if you just follow his X-Men stuff, you see his development. Like
he's really grown into his own.
the way you see him drawing Iron Man now is like the last style he had in Uncanny X-Men. It's just very developed. He's gone a far way, and he deserves all the success he gets. He's doing really well.
A lot of people were knocking him too when he's doing like Extreme X-Men, like, because nothing was getting inked.
Yeah,
and it's like, I still really like the art that much. I mean,
it's still really good.
Yes, the inking they could have done something else with it, but it just it still looked great to me, so I still loved it. It's just Tony Stark bothers me. That's all it is. That's my only fault.
I think he's watch the Lost, guys.
Can't give him a 1 out of 5.
What's your
I'll
second?
retcon this, folks.
X-Men 5 out of 5. Iron Man, nothing. Not even a buy.
A negative 5 out of 5.
Just Tony, really, because Pepper, like everybody else in that series, and like all this mech stuff
Rescue.
he does. Yeah, Rescue still looks good, and like
Yeah.
and Rhodey and stuff, they all look
guys.
good. I'm just annoyed by that. It's my
I just want to point this out. As much as I do like Salvador LaRocca's work, I do not like the recent rescue suit. That's about it. I'm going to leave it at that. Looks too much like a man. Anyways,
See, again, like stuff like that, you kind of have to wonder, like, was that handed down from Marvel? Like, hey, make a new rescue suit.
This is what
to
we
look like,
wanted,
to make it look like the new Iron Man suit. So there are a couple, like,
a lot of times that's what the best they can work with, and I think he did really well with what he was able.
I mean,
to
the past one was the best, and then this one looks just like Iron Man with boobs.
It's a new Iron Man suit.
Why?
With
Why?
boobs.
I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to
Marvel likes
ignore
it in
it.
armor.
Yeah.
Anyways, my next one's Ivan Reis. You guys probably know him for doing Green Lantern and Blackest Night. One key thing I really like from
Oh, that's right.
Oh, right, yeah, that thing.
These
What
two
else
don't
was
know
there?
too. They haven't gotten a chance to read it yet.
Yeah.
So
I've read stuff
Clearly.
about it.
Jeff Johns? Who?
No, Jeff Loeb.
I love the detail he puts into his work, and a lot of it too was the splash covers. A lot of times during Blackest Night, you'd see these huge, wonderful splash covers with like
splash pages.
slash pages. I'm sorry, but he does some splash covers, right?
Yeah.
for sure.
But
But he just puts so much into it, so much detail and like colors. It's just
for me, he really just like blew the roof down with Sinestro Corps War. That was one of my. I loved his work in that, and that's where I was like, I like this guy. This guy's awesome.
He showed that he can draw like 1 million characters on one page.
And
And in a timely manner, too, let's say.
Yeah, I
That.
know.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, wait, it's actually done on time. Wow, what? Pitch. So he's like, you did a great job.
good job. All right, I want you to jump to war. Go.
I do have to say my first impression of him was with Ranthanagar War and when he filled in for Infinite Crisis, and I was a little unimpressed with Infinite Crisis, but I'm not gonna give him. You know, he's obviously redeemed himself with all this recent
Yes,
stuff, and I love it.
definitely. And then my last one is Kevin McGuire. McGuire. I can't say his last name. McGuire. He did a
Sounds like
Defender
MacGyver. It's
and
easy.
he did
But
Defender
McGuire.
and what was it?
I
I
can't
can't believe
believe
it's not Justice League.
A little bit of JLI too.
Yeah, just the way he draws faces, he captures the right expression at the right time, and it delivers like this hilarity to each character. And like some characters that you don't think that would have like an expression on their face, he just does it, and like it surprises you, and it's really funny with the dialogue too. Oh man,
It's good stuff. Yeah, I definitely like some of his stuff in Defenders. I loved just the way he does expressions, like you said.
Banner's face or like Namor's face when they're shocked or something.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
It was all across me like it feels like a sitcom when I'm reading this stuff, like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's that kind of like it
Superheroes
switches
friend.
funny, and you're just like, okay, and you see them in real life.
Superhero Seinfeld.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, my top three. I gotta say my number one, hands down, is J.H. Williams III. I love all.
Not the second?
No, not the second. The third. The
Second's
the first was, you know, he really innovated, but the third one just blew it. I love his stuff. He did what's it
Sorry,
called?
Jim.
It's like 7 Soldiers of Victory. He did Black Glove. He did Batwoman, the recent Batwoman arc with Greg Rucka. And him alone was the only, like, the main reason I was picking up some of those titles, because just the way he draws the page. I know you're gonna make it knock Grant Morrison. Just bite your tongue, man. I think, like, as far as sequential artists go, which is a little, you know, he's one of those definitive sequential artists down there with like Jack Kirby, JR, and JR Senior and stuff. He draws sequential art. You can tell a story just by not reading the captions and stuff, and he really does a lot of some crazy splash pages, some crazy covers, all sorts of stuff. I think he's really getting into his own. I mean, he's done all sorts of medium. Next up, I got Frank Quitely, who's a frequent collaborator with one of my favorite writers, Grant Morrison.
Nacho Kelly?
No.
Okay. I'm just curious. Go ahead.
But Frank Quitely, I think the way he seems like a very minimalistic kind of artist, but it speaks volumes. Like he'll just have a few lines, but you get the volume and the density of like a page, or just with the way he draws Superman, for example, with All Star Superman, he'll just draw a few like small sketch marks and stuff, and he makes it feel like he's just this massive wall of steel. I loved his We 3 stuff, and just like it's funny because with him, the further back you go into a scene, in the distance, the more detail it gets sometimes, which is pretty cool. I think as an artist, he really goes into the detail. As far as drawing on time, he loses some points there, but I love the guy. He's
Definitely
awesome.
had a good run on Authority and New X-Men.
Yeah, those two, man. Last but not least, I got John Cassidy. I think as far as sequential artists go, he's one of the top ones up there. He's drawn for Warren Ellis's Planetary, for Joss Whedon's Astonishing X-Men. I loved his Cyclops. Yeah.
See, that was his.
that was a knock out of the park easily. Yeah.
I just love the way he does expressions and the way he draws, dynamic, action scenes. He does it all, I think.
His Marvel Knights Captain America is probably my favorite art run.
He does some really iconic pinups too. Like
yes,
I
it's
love it.
breathtaking.
He does a lot of Lone Ranger stuff these days.
Yeah, his cover art is amazing. Yeah.
So I think he's one of the guys to look for in the business. If you just love comics, he's one of the guys to look at as far as this is a comic book artist nowadays. Yeah, those are my top 3. I wish I could mention more, but I'll leave it at that.